let's get into this question or comment. First of all, when you use an example in a minute and 30-second video, not a semester-long history class where you can really get into detail about it, it's best to use the example that people are familiar with. I would venture to say that most Black Americans, my audience here are Black Americans, are more familiar with the history of Jamaica than they are with Ethiopia. That's probably because of proximity. We are closer to Jamaica. It's a popular vacation spot. It's also because the U.S. is one of the main places that people have gone as part of the Jamaican diaspora. So we have a lot of Jamaican immigrants here, which makes us more aware, more cognizant of just their culture and things like that and how they identify. Other big piece here too that I don't think a lot of people know, or maybe they do, Ethiopia was never colonized. It was inhabited by the Italians for a bit, but it's never been colonized, which makes it kind of an even harder comparator to make. The key thing, though, is that the point I was making here, I'm using the term, it's a comparator, which is what we use in the legal world. And in this scenario, Ethiopia is not a comparator to the Americas. What my group is, I'm looking at how do people who are the descendants of enslaved people that were sold, however you want to word it, from West Africa and brought to the Americas, how do they identify now? That's the question. So I'm looking at countries where they exist in large numbers, like Brazil, for example. Brazil actually has the largest population of Black people outside of Africa, little known fact. And I'm looking at them, Afro-Latinos, all throughout South America. Jamaica's obviously a good example, Barbados. I had a minute, y'all. I didn't have time to go through every single country. So I'm considering how they all identify after having been over here for hundreds of years as descendants of enslaved people. Ethiopia does not fit in that scenario because the descendants from West Africa, the West African people that are stolen and sold, go to the Americas. They don't go to Ethiopia. So I can't look at how they identify because the factors on their identity are a little bit different. It could make more sense to think about, how a Nigerian or a Ghanaian identifies compared to an Ethiopian, considering that even though that country was not colonized, we know that Europe sat there and carved up Africa. We know this. A lot of the lines that we see today are made by European countries. But again, the overall point here is that Ethiopia is not a comparator in this scenario. What I'm saying is how an Ethiopian, just speaking theoretically here, how they view a Black American's identity. And I'm calling out that you see Caribbean people's identity when our stories are very similar. Hope that makes sense.